Hey guys, it's Chef Lawrence and this is Main Course Cooking School. Welcome, show me some love. I want to see a little heart. Are you all hearing me today? Welcome, happy Tuesday. Today we are doing Frito pie, right? Frito pie, so we're gonna be making a little bit of chili. And this isn't your kind of chili that you would do in a competition. This is not a town home Texas chili. This is gonna be a quick chili, something that might go on a hot dog, something that will go great with Frito pie. But this is something your kickoff to chili and the flavors of like that. We do chili a lot here in Texas. Where are you guys from? Anybody from far, far away? What's the farthest we've got coming in today? Anything? So I wanted you to get your ingredients together. Don't forget, I just washed my hands, and if you haven't washed yours, make sure you wash them really good. At least 20 seconds, hottest water, soap up the sides of your hands, get all over the top, get in between all the fingers, check your fingernails, make sure they're clean. Everybody likes to see a clean hand when you're cooking. I'm gonna go through our ingredients today real quickly, a couple of times as people are getting together. We've got 1 pound of ground beef. You can use turkey or chicken or ground pork, whatever you have on hand. We have cloves of garlic. The recipe calls for 3, but I've got these big honking cloves of garlic, so I just went with 2. So these are huge cloves of garlic. I'm gonna go with 2. I'm just gonna cut it down a little bit because that makes about 3. We wanna do tomato sauce. We need a half a cup. This is about 1.5 cups, and we're gonna measure that out to fit the recipe. We need 1 can of Ro-tel tomatoes. Questions, a lot of people are asking me, what's Ro-tel tomatoes? It's a brand name here in Texas and in some places in the United States. I don't know if everyone carries it. I know my friend Todd in France has a hard time finding something like this, and he asks people to send cans of Ro-tel because it's something we add to cheese and make a great chili con queso. But this is Ro-tel, and basically it's a mixture of tomatoes with a little bit of jalapeno or green pepper and a little bit of onion. If you don't have this, you can substitute tomato and onion and green pepper. And you can use jalapeno or you can use bell pepper or poblano, something not as spicy. We also need some salt, and I've got my spices here, salt, and I've got all my big spices today. We didn't measure them out yet. So we're gonna measure that. So I've got salt and pepper. I've got some cumin. We're gonna be using, I think, 2 teaspoons of cumin, but it's a strong spice, so if you like 1 teaspoon, that's fine, but I like it and I like 3 probably. I need chili powder. This is where we get the name chili, is because we're gonna add the powder. So the powder is basically raw chilies, like raw bell pepper or poblano pepper or jalapenos, and they dry them out. Once they dry them out, they grind them up into this powder, and so that's what gives you the flavor. It's got a totally different flavor than a raw pepper. It has almost a smoky flavor, and a little bit of heat, but not a lot. There's a pepper called cayenne pepper, which isn't in this, and that's one that's really hot. So we kind of leave that to the side. You can always add cayenne pepper if you want more heat. We are gonna be using a little bit of oregano. This is a half teaspoon. You can use regular oregano. This is dried oregano leaves, but you can use Mexican oregano, which has a little bit more floral flavor. I've also got some Mediterranean oregano here with me that I grow here at the school. We grow herbs in the front, especially in the spring and summer, to get great things to go into our recipes. I'm not gonna be adding this, but I just wanted you to see, this is exactly the same as this, just dried out. This is the fresh, and this is dried. They use less of this if you've got, so less of this in the recipe if you're using fresh. A little bit more if you've got a dried product. We're also gonna use masa. So masa is the flour that we use to make tortillas. But today we're gonna be using it as a thickener in our sauce, kind of like corn flour. And if you don't have masa, you can use cornmeal. It'll do the same thing, all right? And then of course, Frito pies wouldn't be Frito pie without Fritos. Usually I use the smaller ones, not the smaller bag, but the smaller, thinner ones. But today, like everyone else, I checked the store and there wasn't the thin ones. So I went ahead and got these scoops. And that's gonna work okay. So they're just a little thicker and heavier, good for scooping stuff. But that's what we've got today, and the flavors are the same, okay? We also got a little bit of cheddar. I asked you to use sharp cheddar. I'm using a cheddar jack that I already had in house, and I have it shredded already. Probably not going to use all this cheddar, but you know, cheese is my favorite thing, so it might happen. And we also have red onion, and this isn't as a optional ingredient for kids or parents. Who doesn't like onions? A lot of people don't like onions. So if you don't like a raw onion, don't put this in your pan, your final product. I also didn't mention this, but I grabbed some sour cream because I like a little sour cream. Now I'm getting fancy Frito pie going on. So, but I'm gonna put that there, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go through it one more time, just the ingredients. We need ground beef or chicken or turkey. We need salt and pepper. We need cumin powder, chili powder, masa or cornmeal. We need that oregano that we were talking about. We also need that Ro-tel tomatoes, tomato sauce, and we need a little bit of cheddar. Cheddar's the end. That finishes off the recipe with a little bit of onion if you like, okay? We will not be draining the Ro-tel. It'll be fine. It's just a little bit of liquid in there. So the first thing we're gonna get started, we're going to get our ground beef starting to brown, okay? So you need to take a frying pan. Got a frying pan. Gonna turn it on medium heat, okay? The fire goes on, and look underneath, look at your fire to make sure that's medium. This says medium, but that looks really high to me. So I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit and make sure your pan fits where the fire is underneath the pan rather than it coming out, because the burners are all different sizes. This is a great size for this pan. If you've got a smaller pan, there's a smaller burner for that. All right, so we've got that going. We're heating that up. I'm not gonna worry about any oil or anything because there's enough fat. I'm using 80-20 ground beef. You can use something more lean like a 93.7, but this is 80-20. It works great with this and also has enough fat that I don't have to use any more fat in the pan. We're gonna get that started, wait until that heats up. Sure. So yeah, substitutions. The question was anything about substitutions. I'll tell you what I have. There's not really a lot of substitutions for the spices, other than these are the flavors that you want. So cumin is belongs to the parsley family. It comes out in a little bitty seed. It kind of looks like a long little pod, and then this is what we do. We grind that up, or you buy it like this, already ground up, and it becomes a powder. And you can see that it's just kind of a dark yellow powder. I'm gonna put it there. And that's just gonna go that great. It goes great into Mexican food. It goes in some kind of Indian food. So if you think about Mexico and India, what do they have in common? They have where they're on the equator. They're closer to the equator, and so the plants that grow on the equator, like peppers and tomatoes and cumin, the cuminous seeds, they all grow along the equator where it's warmer. So that's where all the flavors around the world come from the same place. Same with okra. Okra kind of goes around the world. It's one of those things that you'll find in almost all recipes in countries that are along the equator. Okay, so I've got this heated up. I just want to take my hand, make a fist, and you just want to reach down and make sure the pan is warming up, okay? I'm gonna add that in, just the ground beef, and I'm just gonna use it with a little spatula. Add it in, and you should hear a sizzle once it goes in. And when it goes in, I'm gonna move all these out of the way. Start. Either gotta get a smaller belly or a bigger stove. All right, so we've got it going in, and I just want you to break it up and spread it out on the bottom of the pan because it needs to be touching the heat where the heat's coming up to cook. All right? You're gonna see it start to stick a little bit in the pan. It's okay. It'll release shortly, about in a minute and a half, and then we're just gonna be able to scrape that up, and that's great flavor. It's called the fond. We are fond of the fond. It's that stuff that sticks to the bottom of the pan. All right? We wanna make sure we brown this all the way before we add any of our spices or our sauces. So while we're doing that, I'm gonna cut my garlic. And I've got the 2 cloves, but you might have 3. What I want you to do is be careful with the knife. I've got this big chef knife and I've got the smaller paring knife. I'm gonna show you, smash your garlic like that. And if you got a fresh piece of garlic, a fresh clove of garlic, it's gonna smash and break up really nicely. then all you're gonna do is run your knife through it. Remember, make your hand the shape of a claw. Hold your knife by the blade, by this part, and we're just gonna go ahead and slice really quickly, making sure we get it all nice and chopped, about the same sizes. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I know this is gonna take you guys a little bit of time, so take your time. Don't worry, don't rush. We're just browning our meat, and I'm gonna just make sure that I'm stirring that as I go. If there's 2 of you cooking today, then give everyone a job. All right, so while we're doing that, while we're doing the meat, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm gonna season my meat right now. So the pepper's fine. What's gonna happen with the salt is the salt starts to draw the liquid out of the protein. So you'll see water show up in the bottom of your pan, and that's where we need to let that cook off a little bit. Secret of seasoning, I like to do these 3 fingers, and then I like to stay a little bit higher off the pan, not so far that you're letting it fall into the stove, and definitely don't do the Salt Bae right for this one. You can practice that outside on the barbecue where you don't have to clean up your mess. But I'll go ahead and do that right now. Add your salt, your pepper, and just stir up your meat to make sure that all the little bits, clumps of ground beef are breaking up and everything's getting cooked evenly, okay? All right, it's almost that time. It's almost all brown. So if you're using turkey or chicken, you're not gonna see it quite dark brown, but you're gonna know it's cooked by the way the texture of the meat becomes a little bit harder. So we got it going. I'm gonna say 1 more minute. We're gonna add in our garlic. And once we add our garlic, we're gonna add it, and then we're gonna cook it for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Then I want you to add some other things, because we don't want to overcook that garlic. We don't want to burn garlic. So I'm going to start adding my garlic in. There's a little bit of pink still on that meat, but it's going to keep cooking. And remember, we're going to go about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and then I'm going to add in some sauce. I'm going to add in that Ro-tel and that tomato sauce. All right. You can see the bottom of this pan. There's not a lot of liquid there. There's a little bit of oil. That's the natural oil that came out of the beef. But there's not a lot of liquid. Now you're starting to smell that garlic cooking there. A lot of the times when we're cooking with our eyes, we're cooking with our senses, we're cooking to make sure we know that we're not burning something. You use your sense of smell. All right, got it going. Beef is going. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a half cup of tomato sauce. This is regular old tomato sauce. I'm not talking about spaghetti sauce. I'm talking about tomato sauce. So spaghetti sauce has a bunch of herbs. Some of them have mushrooms, some of them have sausage, some have everything. You just want plain canned tomato sauce. And it's half a cup. So half a cup, this is a 1/4 cup. 2 of these or 1 of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with 1 of the bigger ones. I'm gonna stir it in. Sure. Absolutely. Try to. What would you use for the meat? Would you use the Beyond Beef? I think you could use that. I'm going to add in this can of tomato Ro-tel. So would you use a product that's kind of been substituted for meat, or would you want to use? I'm going to turn this down just a little bit because it's starting to splatter. Would you use something that is like cauliflower, like a cauliflower rice for this? I'm sure you could do that as well. Just the matter is about how long you cook it. Cauliflower rice would be a lot shorter cook. So we've added that in, and now we've got Ro-tel in there. We've got tomato sauce. We've got our ground meat. We've got our garlic. We're gonna add in, and we've got salt and pepper in there. We're gonna add in our seasoning. So you'll need your measuring spoons, and we want to do half a teaspoon, which is if you've got a set of 4, it's the second from the bottom, second from the smallest. And we're gonna just use 1 scoop of half teaspoon, add that in, just put it on the top. We're gonna use 2 teaspoons of cumin. And cumin is that pod that's related to parsley. It doesn't have that. Some people like cumin, some people don't. I happen to love cumin, so I'm gonna go 2 big heaping scoops. We're also gonna need our chili powder, and that's gonna be a tablespoon. So if you guys look at this is a teaspoon. 3 teaspoons go into 1 tablespoon. So you've got almost twice as much of the chili powder as you do any other spice. So I'm gonna put 1 scoop of chili powder, and you can use dark chili powder or light chili powder, whatever you got on hand. All right, I've put that in, and now I wanna make sure that I've stirred it again. You get all those flavors coming together. We wanna start cooking this down to where the tomatoes start to break up and disappear. Just keep stirring. Does anybody remember what item we haven't put in yet? We haven't put in our masa. Our masa is going to be our thickener. All right? So I'm going to do that. So masa, that's like the corn flour, or you can use corn meal if you don't have masa. And what we're going to do is a 1/4 cup. And then, so that would be, this is a tablespoon, right? How many tablespoons go in a 1/4 cup? Huh? Not 18. I'm glad we're not, that's the new math. Okay, we're doing a 1/4 cup. So 4 tablespoons are a 1/4 cup. So we're gonna just add that in, and we're gonna turn the heat down to very low. We're just gonna stir that in until it absorbs. This is gonna be a thickener for our sauce. And the chili's gonna get a little thicker and a little bit, it's gonna start to keep cooking down those tomatoes. Also, with a thickener, it helps it to be able to clump up on top of your Fritos. All right, so what you're gonna have is something that looks a lot like this. It'll hold its shape. It'll be good over the top of Fritos. It would be good on top of noodles like macaroni, or it would be good. And some people do this, mix this with the macaroni and cheese and make a chili mac, which is really good. Some people like that recipe. That's a great recipe. Now, I'm going to talk about the controversy of beans in chili. So a lot of people say, yes, chili has beans, but I'm from Texas and we invented chili and we never put beans in it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, okay? So you can have beans, and you can add a can of kidney beans or a can of black beans, something. It's just a way of stretching a recipe. It also is a way of adding protein in. Someone asked me earlier if you could do a vegetarian chili. So you could do a white bean chili, would be really good. Do the same thing, just use white beans instead of the meat. And that would be a really good recipe. I would add in an extra can of chilies, the green chilies that show up in the Ro-tel. All right, so really what we're doing, we're finished. We just gotta keep it hot. Check your recipe. I'm gonna get a little tasting spoon, see if it's got enough spice, it has enough salt and pepper. I've got one. So I'm just gonna taste real quickly, thank you. We're just gonna taste for seasoning. Definitely enough salt, definitely enough cumin. Ooh, everything's so good. That's good. I think that I'm happy with this. If anything, maybe just a little bit more pepper, black pepper, but I'm good. So the next thing we do, really easy recipe. See how quickly that came together? We're gonna make the chili, the FRITO pie. So what I'm gonna do is take a spoon, take a bowl. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, or let's be honest, a lot. I'll put that in there. Make sure the heat's off on your stove now. Put that over the top of your chili. You can also, if you've got Fritos in little individual bags, you can open up a bag at the end and just dump the chili in the bag and eat it. That's the traditional way of eating FRITO pie. So now we've got Fritos and chili. little bit of over that. I'm gonna, while the chili's still hot, I'm gonna sprinkle my cheese over the top of that. Gonna add some sour cream, because that's what I love. Anything else you go on there? I'm gonna take a little pinch of that chili powder and just put it on top of the sour cream. And that's what you got. Now, only thing I forgot is red onions. And if you're a fan of red onions like I am, I'm just gonna slice it really quickly. If you'll just show them real quickly. Move the camera over here just to see how I cut an onion. Can you see me? All right, I'm gonna cut the top off. There's the top, and this is the bottom. It's called the tail, right? Then I'm gonna take it, and because that's the flat part now, right there, I'm gonna put this onion face down. Then I'm gonna take the knife and I'm gonna cut through the tail, which is where the root ball comes on the bottom. And I'm just gonna cut it in half. So now I've got 2 halves of my onion. I'm gonna take off the last peeling or the last layer of the onion. And I'm looking for kind of a shinier part of the onion instead of getting it dry. Sometimes those layers are a little dry because they've set out a little bit, and that's the first part to start dry out. What you're gonna do is take your knife and your claw, and you're gonna go slice through it a couple times this way. And if it's hard for you to get your mom to help you, we're gonna do it a couple times this way. Then we're gonna turn it. So now we've got something that if it was together, it would look like an awesome blossom from Outback, because it's got all those little fingers. And now we're just gonna go through and chop this. And I've got enough onion for me. These guys don't want any chili today, so. All right, and just a little bit on top. And if you can see my chili, my Frito pie, all that cheese has started to melt while I was cutting that onion. So now it's ready for me to taste it, make sure it's okay. Anybody ready to taste theirs? Everybody eating already? Oh, good. So that was it. Real quick, Frito pie. Make a quick chili, serve it over Fritos. Have a couple of things that were going on this week. Tomorrow, 12 noon, a class for adults. They've been asking. Chef Terry is going to be making Japanese milk bread. He's going to do it in one time, and then there'll be other examples of what your milk bread should look like. We also will post it to our YouTube page so you can repeat it if you need it. We're also doing a class on Thursday for kids at 12 noon, and it's donuts. So we're going to be making donuts from scratch and then put some amazing icing on there and a couple of different cool things on top, sprinkles and candies. And then Saturday again, we're going to be doing our Nailed It. I think this will be our third Nailed It, or fourth Nailed It. We did get a winner today for the Easter family Nailed It. And the winner for that Nailed It, and if you haven't gone to the Facebook page to see it, go take a look at what Rebecca Palm did. Rebecca did an amazing job. There were several that were amazing, and they were close in votes, but Rebecca got the most votes by 10 o'clock this morning when we had the cutoff. So very close race. There were some that had 135, 136, lots of votes. There was a lot of great entries. Whether you got a lot of points or not, I think everyone did a great job. Rebecca, you'll be getting a $50 gift certificate to Main Course Cooking School. I need to get an email. I think I have your mom's email, so I'll email it to Adrienne's email, okay? Any other questions about what is going on today, what we did? They're eating and they're happy. Awesome. Tip jar. So guys, if you are interested, love the way we're doing things here, and you want to contribute to our support for doing these, we're available through multiple platforms: Venmo, Cash App, there's Zelle, and there's PayPal. All those, or we can accept gratuity from you guys, and we really, really appreciate everyone who's sent in money so far. It's keeping us going. It's keeping us doing these classes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that's kind of a secret. We're doing we're going to start doing virtual classes, and those are going to cost a little bit of money. I'm talking about $15 for 2 people to sign up. You'll have to get all the ingredients yourself, but we're working on that today, and we should have some answers posting on our Facebook page, and I'll put that out there, and then links to our website to where you can sign up. Fun date nights, fun classes that are multiple courses, and we'll have those up for you very soon. Any other questions so far? You're enjoying your FRITO pie? Awesome, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Simple recipes, things that are in-house. If you guys can't find yeast, I'm hearing that Aldi has yeast right now. Also, Costco has it in bigger amounts, but also reach out to local restaurants that are doing, some restaurants are selling products. Have a little bit of yeast if someone needs them, we can put some aside for people to come by and pick up here at Main Street if you're local. All right? So until tomorrow with Chef Terry, we're gonna sign off and say goodbye, and thank you guys so much for all the support. Enjoy your FRITO pie, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Cheers.